We are in the shed. The garden tractor's gone. It's actually just pushed outside. Today's project is going to be cleaning up the rest of the way, I hope, and finishing the shelves. Finishing the shelves is probably the most critical piece of this because it will enable the cleaning by allowing me to put things away. You know, like all the chainsaws and stuff can go on the shelf where they belong. Let's see, additionally, all that stuff, gotta figure that out. But the 110 is not coming back in here. It's gonna go outside into the tent shed. That way we actually have room to work in here. I have the two mower decks down here that you guys probably can't see, but you've seen them before. I have those to restore and get operational. Plus I have the bigger deck from the 116 to restore. And we've also picked up, making Lady Metal mad, another parts 110, although potentially not a parts 110, potentially a restoration candidate, and a 212. She doesn't really even know about 212 yet because she wasn't really paying attention. She's too busy being mad at me. But yeah, so the 212 may end up replacing the 110 or supplementing it. I'm kind of thinking the 110 can be for mowing and whatnot, and the 212 can be for doing like the gardening side of things, running the rototiller, running the snowblower, that sort of thing. It has the same size, possibly even the exact same deck as the 116. If the deck on that is as good as I believe it to be, we might just put that deck on the 116 and sell the 116 right away, but continue restoring the other decks that we can put it on the 212 if we want to. Yeah, so that's the plan. I'm going to get busy doing the work, which will be a time lapse for you guys, and we'll see you when it's done. All right, well, there's a couple of hours of cleaning and starting on the center shelf. These rails over here are for the bottom shelf, but I need to finish the center shelf before I start worrying about that one. I'm certain I don't have a board long enough for that one. I'm gonna have to piece things. Of course, that's what I'm having to do here. That gap along the edge, that's what this other board is for. I'll get it screwed to it, and then I'll just flip it over out there on the table and carefully buzz the edge off. I've done that before. It's not a big deal. I'm gonna have to get out my snap line so I can snap lines for the cross members. If you remember previously, the upper shelf, which used that size rails, I did not put any cross members on. The other two shelves will get cross members because they're going to hold much heavier things, and this one is using a smaller size of rail, so I have to account for that. For now though, I'm a little tired and a little hungry, so I'm going to take a break, head in the house, let the dogs out, and get something to eat, or at least a protein shake or something. I'm kind of fat and trying to lose weight, so I've been doing some protein shakes, substitution for meals. Yep, they're not bad, the ones that I get. I've definitely tasted worse. Yeah, there's a lot going on. If you couldn't tell, my pickup's out here. That's where I've been getting all the lumber and stuff out of the back of. I backed it up here, opened the tailgate just to set things in to get them out of here and help make room. Yes. So I bought different hooks for my chain. The hooks that I have came from Family Farm and Home. The chain that I have came from Tractor Supply. And so I'm like, all right, maybe there's a difference in the pins between the two. So I got the Tractor Supply hooks. And there is a difference in the pins. These pins are a lot smaller, at least at the tip. They do get bigger as you go towards the head. Or even these wouldn't fit through. So the press is still going to get used for that, I guess. Yeah, what else? I think that's pretty much everything for now. Lots to do, of course, and never enough time to do it in. Another reason for the break, I should mention, the GoPro is getting warm, physically hot to the touch, so it needs a break too. So I guess on that note, I'm gonna go do that, and I'll see you guys in a little while. All right, so I've finished the cut piece for the shelf, gotten it put up here in place, but it's still not fully attached to all the rails and the cross beams, so that needs to get done. But I wanted to get it up in place to make it a little more convenient to work on. This is a much better height than me squatting down on the floor and hurting my back. You guys should see my 12-ton press is set up now and ready to use. Those are the incorrect hooks. I showed you guys the correct hooks earlier. We'll get onto the chain at some point. It's not important for today. It's just a distraction that we don't need. I do want to modify the press a little bit and make a spot to hold this because it's just at odds right now. I'll have to lay it up on the shelf or something. If you put it anywhere on it, it ends up either being in the way or falling off. What it really needs is some kind of holder on the outside or perhaps back here on the wall. Haven't decided yet what I want to do, but for now, at least the press is usable, which is really nice. Alrighty, let's see. I guess it's time to just get cranking on with it. Yeah, I can't think of any reason not to, so here we go. Well, as you saw, the second shelf is up. I reorganized the shelves a bit, put some things away where they actually belong, or close to it anyway. I've got a nice mess of sawdust on the floor that I swept at the beginning of all this, but that's what happens. Oh shoot, my poor gloves here are getting pretty abused. I might have to buy a new pair. These are mechanics with an X, and they come in a few different styles, and I like different styles for different things. So there you go, mechanics with an X. These are the same brand. These ones, however, have leather fingers. These ones are just cloth. I prefer these ones for anything I'm doing working with wood. The cloth, you can get splinters just stab right through them, and that doesn't feel the greatest. This is my last pair of the leather ones at the moment, because they're like $25 a pair. Well, those are like 22, so I guess I've got 3 or 4 pair of those at the moment. But that is what it is. I'll have to get myself another pair the next time I'm up at Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever. For now, though, I don't know why I took them off. I should pick up this lumber here and sweep the floor again, and then start putting things back in here to put them away. I'm not going to put everything back in here. As I mentioned, the 110's going out to the tent shed. A lot of the lumber I'm just going to leave in the back of the pickup overnight. It's not going to rain tonight, and I'm going to be right back out here tomorrow. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to move it just to move it again. Let's see what else. The 2 old bags of cement that I mentioned in a previous video as being junk because they hardened due to moisture in here in the air. My mom says she wants them. I don't know what she's going to do with them, but she's got a plan for them, so I'm going to give them to her next time I head up there. Got some scrap out here for her as well, you know, things of that nature. I'm pretty happy with the progress we've made today. It's more progress than I've made in the previous videos, I'm pretty sure. At least all the ones since breaking my leg. I kind of finally feel like I'm back, except running out of energy all the time. Got to get rid of this weight. I put on more weight while I was recovering from the broken leg, and that doesn't help. So got to get rid of that, and then I'll feel better, I'm sure. Yeah, we're definitely making progress. Good progress, I think. So I'm pleased with how things are turning out. For now, though, I'm going to turn off the camera, say goodbye to you guys, and clean up, like I said. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and as always, I will see you on the next one.